What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another update thanks to the ban list before we get the brand new cards in Legacy of Destruction, and today it is the turn of Orcust. That's right, Orcust didn't just get one buff, it got two. HARP Horror has now gone from 1 to 3, and of course Armageddonite went from 1 to 2. So the deck gets a huge buff in consistency for the deck. It increases its starters from 5 to 6, which is really kind of cool, and then it increases the consistency and the reliability on HARP or Horror from 1 to 3. I'm going to take you through the profile, show you exactly what we've got and explain why we've got it, but then also talk you through some budget alternatives if you want to be putting this deck together without massively breaking the bank. For now, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving head first into the profile, we start off with the main starter of the deck being your triple Gearsu, the Orcust Mech Knight. Now, one of the other big issues that this deck did get is it did lose the ability of being able to play Link Rebo. Now, instantly, a lot of people are like, okay, cool, just play Relinquish Anima. Unfortunately, Relinquish Anima can't be made with a token. So you are now forced to play Link Spider. Big sad. But it happens. Another thing you need to be careful of is this deck will run head first into not only a Drawn Lotbird, but a Nibiru as well. Now, Drawn Lotbird, a little bit less of an issue, except we now need to deal with Colossus. But then on top of that as well, you do need to be able to deal with Nibiru. So what you need to do with this deck is you need to be able to play an additional engine that can provide you with even more resource or the ability to protect from Nibiru at its early doors. One option is of course cross out and then main deck Nibiru if you wish to. The other one is the Horus engine, which is what I'm personally playing because I like the aggression that that engine can bring and the ability of the rank 8s. However, when I do get to the Horus engine, I'll talk you through some other alternatives that you could use because being able to access Dark Grepher in this deck can give you the discard capabilities of the Horus engine. And then when you cut out the 7 cards or the 6 to 7 cards the Horus engine does produce, that's when you can then put in something like Crossout or just find other ways of being able to deal with Nibiru. Then, of course, newly returned to 3 is Orcust HARP Horror. I'm hoping all of you Orcust players out there were able to pick up your free copies of HARP Horror either as a rare or hopefully as a super rare, or maybe it will get a reprint sooner or later. We never know. But for now, it's definitely amazing to have this guy back at 3. It is incredibly powerful and consistent, and arguably you could even play a Law of Darkness in the deck or Pot of Desires if you really wanted to, because you don't run the risk of losing your only copy of HARP Horror, which is so incredibly important for this deck as well. Because straight away, not only is Gearsu being your normal summon your all-out combo, but you can also get the combo off of Foolish Burial because you can send the HARP Horror, banish this, get your Orcust to Gearsu, and that still maintains your normal summon for an Armageddonite. So you can get everything you need. Foolish Burial back. Definitely not happening. Then, of course, we do have triple Orcust Nightmare. Keep in mind that when you use any of the Orcust Grave effects to summon from the deck or bring back from the graveyard or anything like that, that you are locked into dark monsters from that point on. So you do need to be a little bit careful when you're trying to and get into it. When you are going to get into an Appaloosa. So keep that in mind. Then, of course, I'd still like playing the 2 skeletons. You could play 1 if you want to, but quite like when you were playing HARP at 1, even though you had no choice, it's still a little bit risky if you wanted to play stuff like Pot of Desires. And if they get rid of your 1 Orcust skeleton, if they shuffle it back, if they banish it before you're able to use its graveyard effect, it can be a little bit annoying, which is why being able to utilize 2 can be quite helpful, because it means you can banish 1, and then later on in the combo you can send 1, so you don't always need to rely on equipping the single skeleton back to the Gearsu. It means you could actually equip other cards. That being said, now that HARP Horror is back to 3, it now gives you the ability of not needing to worry about, right, okay, I have to re-equip the skeleton to get the ding play, or I can re-equip the HARP Horror to get that in rotation. You know, like, yeah, cool, I've got 3 HARP Horrors, I can send that off of Nightmare very easily, let's go. Then, of course, we've got 1 World Legacy World Wand. It's technically an Orcust card, but not named an Orcust card, but we roll with it. Then for the spell cards, we do play the 1 Babel, the 1 Return, and the 1 Crescendo. Then, newly returned to 2 is double Armageddonite, which, because it has now been returned to 2, increases your starters from 2 of this, plus Foolish Burial if you wanted to count it, and then your 3 Gearsus, all the way up by 1 additional. Very nice. You've also got Reinforcement of the Army that can get you your starter in Armageddon, or it can give you a discard outlet in the form of Dark Grepher. Now, Dark Grepher is the only shame of not being able to have more copies of it in this particular deck if you wanted to replace the Horus engine, because the Horus engine, like I said, gives you that ability to protect from the Nibiru, but it also gives you that ability to get you discards out of the hand. That's where you can start getting your HARP Horrors and everything else from the hand to the graveyard where you want them to be. Then for the generic power spells, we've got the 1 Called by the Grave and the 1 Foolish Burial. Other cards that can help you get to the graveyard as well as being discarded off a Dark Grepher, of course, are the Danger Nessie. So this could be very effective because your Nessie will ideally then lead you to your Jackalope if that happens, but you can also access Mothman. Now you can very easily play Danger Snake if you want to, or Sukonoko as it is more commonly known. It's entirely up to you. I quite like the idea of Mothman to give me that ability to draw, but also give me that ability to discard and draw, being able to replace the card that I am going to ultimately discard. Then I am playing, massive shout out to Kyron on this one, the Gizmek Orochi Serpentrion Skyslayer. The reason I like this is because for the extra deck we are still playing, and again shout out to Kyron, the Ouroboros. I just really like the ability of being able to summon this, and this can really cause your opponent a lot of issues, especially if they're dealing with boards that have multiple forms of interaction, whether it be front row or back row. Once they kind of get to a position where you know that they're putting themselves in a bit of trouble, quite like in Nibiru, you can just go, okay cool, Gizmek Orochi, summon it back, use the Ouroboros, banish the entire board, bring it back, you then have a fat stat boss monster that can hopefully lead you into an OTK push. Then of course we do have the Horus engine of triple Imseti, which is the most expensive part of the Horus engine. The 1 Blessing, the 1 Guidance, and then 2 King Sark. Now if you wanted to still play this engine but you wanted to play it on more of a budget engine, you'd put in the other Horus monster and you'd play a free King Sark, because the idea is that Imseti leads you to King Sark. If you don't have any copy or lesser copies of Imseti, you can play the field spell, but ultimately I think it kind of gets to a point where it's alright, okay, well, I'll take these 7 cards out, I can now put in 3 Nibirus, I can put in 3 Super Polys, and then I can cut the deck down to a 40 card deck. So it really is up to you on your preferences. I personally like the Horus engine in its aggressive manner, and it's a manner where it's giving the deck the ability to constantly discard and protect, which is why I like to use it. But I understand that it is quite expensive at this exact moment in time, so if you wanted to cut it out, that's what I'm saying you would change it out to, is more board breakers in the form of Super Poly, as well as more recursion cards or even more draw cards. Then for the hand traps, adapt these to your local environment as you see fit. Triple Ash Blossom, double Veiler, triple Imperm, and double Talents. Again, these are very easy, open, adaptable spaces. If you wanted to play Crossout instead of the Horus engine, if you wanted to main deck Nibirus, you can do. It gives you that ability to kind of adapt it to your environment. At the end of the day, you will know it when you go to your environment if places play that risk of chicken game of, do you have Nibiru? Yes, I lose, or no, I can keep going uninterrupted. You will know that if they're constantly able to play under Nibiru, set up a negate before Nibiru, or just be able to out Super Poly, anything else like that. They can't be targeted, Imper's not that effective. That's when you start adapting it to your environment. Maybe you want Mourners, maybe you want Ghost Spells, DD Crows, Bestials, you name it. You have flexibility to adapt it. So always take the hand trap section as personal preference to the environment you're taking it to. Again, if your environment is all control, you're probably going to want to look at stuff like Cosmic Cyclones and Harpy's Feather Dusters rather than stuff like Talents. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start off with the XYZs. So, of course, we do play 2 Dingirsu, the Orcust of the Evening Star. This is insanely powerful for the deck. Such a great card when it was first introduced as well. The fact that you can just rank it on top of any of your Orcust Link monsters is really, really important. You can play the Orcust Trion if you want to, which is the Link 4. I personally am not the biggest fan of it in this particular build, and that's why I'm playing the Ouroboros instead of it. But I do still like playing the Longirsu because it gives you that ability to send its linked monsters, which is really important, as a quick effect when you do have Babel in play. For the other rank 8s we are playing is the 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord and the Zombie Vampire. So you've got Zombie Vampire, which is mill and extension, and then of course you've got your Galaxy Eyes, which is just your out and out monster protection. You can play Hope Harbinger if you want to deal with spells, but I feel you want to be really dealing with monster effects more than anything, and if you haven't got enough to extend, you might need to roll the dice and risk it with the Zombie Vampire. Then for the other Link monsters that we are playing, obviously the Link one that now needs to go in here instead of Link Karibo is Link Spider. Big sad. Ah, dear. The reason you need to do that is you need to be able to turn your Girsu token into an effect monster to then go into your Galatea. Otherwise, you can't do it. Or the token's just going to sit there doing nothing. And then, of course, you've got your standard of your SP Little Knight. Yeah, I know. IP Masquerena, Dart the Dark Charmer, and then Barricade Borg Blocker. Obviously, the budget alternative to SP Little Knight will, of course, be Nightmare Unicorn, and then you can still utilise all the other cards that have been previously shown. Then the other cards that I've decided to utilise, of course, is the Underworld Goddess, followed up by Appaloosa, and then, of course, the Ouroboros. Now, if you don't want to be playing either of these, you want to adapt them, you do have the ability to start looking into the Mech Knight Crusader Avramax as a bit of a spicy option if you wanted to. You can also consider Typhoon or Zeus, just to kind of give you that different alternative. Keep in mind, for Typhoon and Zeus, you're not really playing a lot, or more so for Zeus, you're not playing a lot of XYZs apart from Ding. So being able to bring Ding back, you need to be able to equip a monster to it, and in order to make Zeus, for it has 1 board wipe. Whereas Ouroboros is going to be crazy strong in that regards. It kind of conflicts with the Typhoon, but it's one of them times where you need to bounce back your opponent's Zeus, that you might want to adapt it and consider it. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Like I've already said, as an alternative option for a bit more of a budget on the Orcust engine, because it is leading you, it's pretty much doing multiple jobs in once. It's giving you that discard fodder with the protection and aggression and recursion. So it's doing 4 jobs in one. So what you want to be a little bit careful of is if you're going for cross out, it's only really dealing with protection. If you then try to increase the dangers, it's only giving you the discard with extension. It's not giving you the aggression that you might need or might be missing. But there is flexibility with this deck. You can change it around. I know some people that played the runic version, which does give you a nice little bit of aggression, interruption, and defensive capabilities, but it also gives you that ability that you need to be able to grind out the game for at least an additional turn off of the back of that as well before you can lead into your own battle phase. So it's something to consider. It is quite nice being able to banish loads of cards because that's where Zero Boros really will shine in the deck. So that is something you could look into. And the fact that all of your cards are quick play spells, or the majority of your runic cards are quick play spells, it'll be able to trigger Zero Boros a lot easier. But it's something you could look into. You could also look in, like I've said, Pot of Desires and of course Allure of Darkness can be massively helpful in any of the versions you want to try out as an alternative draw engine, or just ways of being able to get to your core cards a lot consistently and being able to draw into additional cards in the form of Pot of Desires. But for now, I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on your own build and how it has adapted for the new format. Not massively, but it does give us the ability of being able to showcase free HARP Horus as well as an additional Armageddonite. For now, thank you so much for watching. Any questions, comments below, happy to answer them as absolutely always. For now, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.